Hi everyone, Trina here, and I think we're in 6.8. I'll have to double check on that one. But we're with Origins of Soul, and we just got done talking about the different astral layers of the body, the elements and how they connect to the body, and the angelic twin. And we're getting ready to go into the marriage of the sacred twin and your own self. And as far as I could remember, the Lord would always tell me, you need to remember who you are, and remember that you can see, and remember that you can hear. And he would always tell me when I was little, if you don't try, you're going to lose it. You're going to not be able to do it. And I think my terror of losing that communication has been a very helpful part of my physical makeup, is because of that belief and that knowing and that remembering of when I was little and the things that I could see when I was a child. And with understanding that when people would tell you not that you couldn't see something, or they would say, if the kids were scared and they were scared of something, and I couldn't see it all the time, but I could always sense it. And most of the time the kids were right. And it's like the parents are like, oh, stop it. There's nothing there. There's nothing this. There's nothing. So you get programmed your whole life to shut down from these really subtle energies that you're able to hear and sense and process in many different ways. And, when we think about, we're in a human body, and this human body is operating on a level that is, you can't comprehend its processes. What's happening within your body, you cannot comprehend in your human mind. So that right there is evidence to me of the God that's within. Because 95% of what's real, we can't perceive in a human body. 95% of the processes happening in your body, you have no awareness of, yet they're operating perfectly. This is the God that is inside of you. This intelligence that knows how to digest food, reproduce skin cells, all the cells in the body, to hear, to see, to connect with the earth in a sensory way so we can be connected to it, our connections to each other. These are all parts of the unseen. That's the realest part of what we are. So the Lord would always explain to me that these things that which you cannot see are the most real part of this illusionary world. And when I was a little kid and I was trying to grasp these concepts, this was very difficult because there was no one to talk to about this. And I was 10 years old, and I was laying under a tree, meditating, laying there with my dirt bike and my pit bull, and literally launched out of body and was up in the higher realms with the Lord. And then, like, the God thing was there, and it popped the earth, and everything went dark, and I was like, oh, and freaked out, and I'm yelling. I'm like, what'd you do that for? You just killed everybody. It's like, whoa, this is not good. So I'm freaking out, and this God thing behind us, and the Lord's to my left, and I'm looking at him, and he's like looking at me, and he's just like standing there like no big deal. And I'm like, whoa, because I like felt the world die, and it was so crazy. I was so angry and traumatized, and I was like, why would you do such a thing? And I'm like 10 years old, and I'm having this experience, and then the God thing behind us, it said, my child, if I created it, would you not think that I would not know how to care for it? And I was just like, oh, I felt so stupid. I'm like, sometimes I forget who I'm in the presence of, because I'm in this human reality. Even though I'm in the heavens with you right now, I'm still having this human experience, and I'm very connected and attached to the earth and my body and the people and what's happening here. Because at this time, I'm like 10 years old. I'm anchored into my body at this point. So it wasn't like when I was 3 and I still thought I could fly. So completely different mental state at 10 years old. So I'm watching him pop the earth, and then he laughs and he's like, do you think I don't know how to take care of my creation? Like, duh. And I was like, oh, okay. And then all of a sudden he holds his hand out, and it's this ginormous just hand, just huge hand. And this other hand comes out and it goes like this, whoof, and it brings back a brand new earth. And it was just like this earth, but it was a shiny, sparkly earth. It was glowing with this light, and it had this song coming from it that was like, oh, it was there's no words. There's just no words. A symphony that talks to you at the same time. It's so hard to put into words. It's living sound. I don't know how to explain it, but it was profound. The light and the sparkly world and the sound that came from it. And when I was looking at the first earth, the one we're on right now, the God thing, like he said, feel it. And he threw me into it, and I could feel the earth, and I could feel babies crying and street traffic and mountains and rivers and fishes. And it was so overwhelming. And I was like, whoa, stop, and then I was out back with him again. And then he popped the earth and he brought back the sparkly one. And then when the sparkly one, he said, now feel this. And he threw me in the sparkly one. And oh, that's what I mean. There's no words. Like the flowers, like knew your name. They would like bow, and they knew you, and you knew them, and you would like honor them. It was this cooperation. Oh, this cooperation of harmony. It was the most beautiful cooperation. Everybody knew their part and their place in creation, and it was just this beautiful dance of living light and living water and living sound, and everything was just so bliss. It's like so bliss. So remembering these things and getting shown these things by my spirit guide, the Lord, which most people would consider Jesus. And because I didn't even know who this person was, because I never went to church until I saw his picture on a wall, and they're like, yeah, that's the Lord Jesus. I'm like, no, that's my Lord. And they're like, yeah, that's our Lord too. I was like, okay. I guess everybody's got the Lord as their invisible friend. I thought that was probably normal for everybody. Apparently it wasn't. But yeah, I was 3 years old. I thought, right on, everybody knows you. This is excellent, Yay! I was really happy about that part. So within this whole connecting to these higher dimensions and these higher beings within these dimensions, I kind of developed a solid anchor to my spirit. And with that, I've always known that there's a me still residing in the heavenly realms, because that's how I would see myself traveling. I would see myself literally bilocating from one reality to a higher reality and going straight into my other body, or bringing the body with me. But most often I was a kid. Even older, I still would talk to the Lord a lot of time in my child body, because it's my closest resonance with him, and it's the easiest body for me to completely connect to that realm in, is through my child body, because it holds a frequency. This body right now is holding all of what it's been experiencing in this lifetime. So it's got way more layers and more density to it than it did when it was 3 years old, or 9 years old, or 10 years old. So, but you have access to this because that's you. So all you have to do is look at a picture of you when you're a little kid, or even think about when you're a little kid, and you can become that vibration because it's you. So these are ways I've found beautiful tools to be able to help heal and travel and do all these things, is by accessing different parts of yourself in the different timelines of this reality, because time is all one. So the only moment is now. It's always now. So it's such a tricky concept, and it's hard to wrap your brain around. But when you understand that through these memories, you can replicate frequency. So this can help heal you. Like if you have an emotion you're having a hard time breaking loose from, Go back in time to a time where you were overloaded with so much joy or love or safety or comfort or peace or healing or whatever it is that you need to flip the script or the charge that's going on in your energetic field. You can go back in time and grab those. And that's why it's a beautiful gift when you have any kind of spiritual awakenings, any kind of witnessing to healings, any kind of grace, any type of time in your life where you've experienced these emotions. These are your treasures. These are your treasures in heaven, because these are connected to the higher dimensions. This is how you get to those higher dimensions. You have to find a vibration inside of you and match it. And then, like when you watch movies and you see things that, oh, it makes you feel so much love or makes you cry emotional, joyful tears, those are the same thing, because your body doesn't know the difference between imagination and reality. So with that, you really can create anything with what you believe or imagine, because the brain doesn't know the difference. So when you really think about that in its truest aspect of how energy seems to be working, this is telling you that your imagination might be more real than the thoughts you think. And that's where I'm at right now in my perspective, thinking and seriously wondering in a very deep asking place is, am I God's imagination? Are we literally the imagination of creation? And that's why we come from the 0 point. And that's why we have access to it. So this is a pretty big concept to try to wrap the brain around, but I'm seriously asking it. Are we literally the imagination of creation? And if this is true, can you imagine what we might be able to do? So I thought that was profound. And those thoughts are entering into my mind because I'm really working on reconnecting with me, my soul, my spirit, my child, and reconnecting to times in my memory that I was proud of myself, and that I'm learning how to love myself and support myself. And we are the big critic, it's inside of us. It's our own doubt, our own self-talk, our own programs that we accepted when we were small children that defeat us and break us down and allow this negative stuff to get into our heads and then into our fields, and then it shows up in our reality. And usually it's by the time it's in the reality before you can even know it's happening and start to adjust it and manage it and heal it. But it's always energy first. So it's time to really start to reconnect with the imagination and manifesting what we want to see, and imagining like the works of Jesus becoming a normal circumstance upon our planet, because the children are waking up and they're using their natural gifts. So this would mean that the second coming wouldn't be Jesus coming from the sky and manifesting, ta-da! And if it did happen, it would be a bilocation, and he would be everywhere at once. And the other way that I see this to happen, which is the way it's always been shown to me, was that the second coming of Christ is us activating our own Christ. And through that, we bring him back to earth. And a big part of that was reconnecting with the divine feminine. And that was what he would show me. You must marry the two. And he said, that is the spirit and the soul. And apparently the spirit is masculine and the soul is feminine. So this is the divine marriage. And the book is getting ready to go in right now, The Marriage of the Angelic Twin. So this is my understanding of the marriage, is the masculine, feminine part of me, which is my spirit and my soul. So we're going to get into the angelic twin and the marriage of it right now in Divine Origins of Soul. So the sacred marriage, the merging with one's own angelic twin. is the true meaning of the sacred marriage. The reference of the marriage of a bride and a groom that Jesus speaks about so often in the New Testament. The Nag Hammadi library texts, discovered in 1945, reveal this rite of sacred union as the culminating fulfillment of the mysteries instituted by Jesus for the liberation of the soul. In later centuries, the Church suppressed the original teaching and derailed its true meaning. The Church even dared to claim that Jesus was the bridegroom and the Church was the bride of Christ, thus demanding that people would join the Church. But the true bride is in each one of us. It's our soul. And the true groom is in fact the angelic twin, our Christed self that lives within each of us. In the Gospel of Philip, we read, "It is holy in the holy. Everyone who will enter the bridal groom chamber will kindle the light. But the mystery of this marriage, but the mysteries of this marriage are perfected rather in the day and the light. Neither that day nor its light ever sets. If anyone becomes a son of the bridal chamber, he will receive the light. If anyone does not receive it while he is in these places, he will not be able to receive it in the other place. He who will receive that light will not be seen, nor can he be detained. And none shall be able to torment a person like this, even while he dwells in the world." That's profound. If anyone does not receive it while he is in those places, he will not be able to receive it in the other place. That to me is saying that you must do this work here while you're on earth. Because if you can't do it here, you won't be able to do it there. You can't wait for some miracle, some saving grace to save you and enlighten you when you reach the heavens. It seems like this is saying that this must be done in this earth. And I think that that's true. But remembering that you're more than your human body and remembering that you are soul and spirit first, that's pretty much what that means, is just having that gnosis or that understanding. So it don't make it bigger than it is. But that's a profound truth that many will never ever realize because they've given all their power away to things outside of themselves and they've never truly had communion with that which lives within. And this is where we have to go. We have to go in. We can no longer reach outside of ourselves for the things that we think will save us, because the only thing that can save us is through salvation, and that is a personal work. No one can do this for you. It's just something that you must do for yourself. And that's as simple as just understanding you are soul and spirit having a physical human experience. And most of you who are here, you're so far beyond that. So no worries, we're on the right track. In another biblical passage, we read, "Bridegrooms and brides belong to the bridal chamber. No one shall be able to see the bridegroom with the bride unless one becomes one." And in yet a third passage, we hear Jesus' words on the day of the Eucharist. "You who have joined the perfect, the light with the Holy Spirit, unite the angels with us also." The images. Ooh. Unite the angels with us also. The images. So the images of God might be the angels. Ooh, that's pretty cool. Okay, in all these references, Jesus is saying that our human self is only an image that our angelic twin has projected onto the canvas of time and space. In other words, our true self is really a perfected angelic being. I must agree with that. Valentinus, a 2nd century CE Gnostic prophet, adopted Jesus' teachings on a sacred union into one of his mystery rites, hoping to help others make contact with their angelic twin. After Jesus' teachings, Valentinus called the rite the bridal chamber, for it represented the highest spiritual initiation a soul could have while still living on earth. So great was this event that it was actually celebrated as a wedding feast. Gnostic theologian Clement of Alexandria describes this powerful sacrament, saying, "The Gnostics then lay aside their souls. At the same time, the woman receives her bridegroom. Then each of them receives his bridegroom or angel." Wow. Then lay aside their souls, and at the same time, as the woman receives her bridegroom, each of them receives his bridegroom or angel. Wow, interesting. The myth of the guardian angel. The Catholic Church altered the Gnostic teachings about the angelic twin, saying instead that each person has a personal guardian angel. In doing so, they concealed the deeper truth that a part of us is eternally in heaven and never leaves. The ancient teachings tell us that only about a third of who we are will ever incarnate onto earth. The rest remains in the higher worlds, and it may send another portion of itself to take incarnations into other dimensions and other worlds. That would explain why I can see I have other bodies on other dimensions existing right now. I've always seen that, and this is saying that's how this is done. That my angelic twin is also operating different bodies in different dimensions. Thus, it is possible to be having more than one lifetime in the 3rd, 4th, or even 5th dimensions. Yeah, because one of these is in the 3rd dimension, like this. But maybe it's 4th dimension, I don't know. It's a little bit more technologically advanced, but it's very similar to this. While the greater part of who we are remains in heaven, by concealing the inner teachings of Jesus, the Church maintained its power to excommunicate a soul, holding the threat of purgatory or hell over its head. Instead, the Church taught that the guardian angel presents a person's soul to God. At the gates of the guardian angel, it presents the person's soul to the gods at the gates of heaven, an image reminiscent of Horus presenting the deceased to his father Osiris in the Egyptian Book of the Dead. So, wow. So, when these guardian angels come to you when you die, you need to go give them a big hug and say, "It's so good to see you, self. Hi, I love you very much. How'd we do?" So, while having an intermediate to argue a soul's worth in heaven may sound reassuring to some, but it completely misses the point, which is that each of us is in essence already an angelic being. The core of who you truly are is that pure white light, and the union that we seek is with our own higher self, which already resides in heaven. If this deeper wisdom was taught by religious authorities, then it would place the responsibility for spiritual growth squarely on the shoulders of the individual and take all power away from outer authorities. It's exactly what would happen. This is something that religions do not seem to be interested in doing. In truth, it is only our own ignorance, false beliefs, and negative thoughts, words, and action that can keep us from this divine reunion. This single realization has the power to liberate humanity for centuries of mistaken thinking and the belief that we are not worthy. When we can truly embrace the idea that we ourselves have chosen to come into this world to learn, then we can really get down to the business of using this life that we are living now to further our spiritual evolution. This in turn leads us to embrace the cherished aspects of the being within, reminding us, as Isa says, which is another word for Jesus, that the kingdom of heaven lies within. When we can consciously connect with this wisdom and this light of our angelic twin, then we as human beings can create a sacred union between our little selves and our true abiding soul. Okay, guys, I think we'll end this one there. And next we're going into chapter 14, which is the 9 orders of angels. So, if we are angelic, we might be coming from one of these 9 orders of the angelic realms. And 9 orders of angels would make sense in this construct because the number here and the math here that forms all matter is 0 through 9. So this is making a lot of sense to me on many levels, alchemically, mathematically, spiritually. And it's just making sense on many levels. So remember, we are alchemical, spiritual, brilliant, light beings, angelic in essence, before anything else. And this is eventually what we're trying to get back to, is remembering the truth of what we really are. And what we really are is miraculous. So much love to you all. We'll see you on the next one. Have a beautiful day. Namaste. And may favor and joy and love be with you always. Talk to you soon. Bye-bye.